Good morning, everybody. This is Pastor John with another edition of Monday Morning Quarterback. So yesterday we talked about the transfiguration where Jesus took Peter, James, and John up a hill, and the Bible says he was transfigured before him. His robes were dazzling white, and Moses and Elijah appeared, and God even spoke. And God's words at the transfiguration were similar to God's words at Jesus' baptism. This is my son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased. But God added one little bit at the transfiguration, and that was, listen to him. God was speaking to Peter, James, and John specifically in this moment. Listen to him. Because Peter had wanted to, build a monument to kind of remember the transfiguration, and God was really having none of that. God said, this is not about a monument. This is about movement. Listen to him. You see, Jesus was starting a movement. He had very little time or interest in monuments. And I think the story of the Transfiguration really illustrates the importance of Christianity as a movement, and not a religion of monuments, and we've sort of turned it into a religion of monuments. We have these fixed things that are sacred, and we have our sacred spaces that we don't want to touch or do anything with. We have thousands of sacred relics that are meaningful, and we keep hidden away, and don't ever touch them or anything like that. We have our monuments of theology where it's like these truths are fixed in my brain, in my heart, and I will not be moved from them. We have a religion of monuments, of things that are static and fixed. And I don't think that's what Jesus was starting. I think Jesus was starting a religion of movement, meaning we're constantly going forward, closer and closer to the reign of God. In the Methodist tradition, we have a phrase for this. It's called going on to perfection. And by perfection, we mean perfection in love. So we don't mean, checking all the boxes and, learning all the rules, obeying all the rules, doing all the things. That's not the perfection we're speaking of. We're speaking of a heart so full of the love of Christ that we cannot help but love our neighbor as ourselves. That's what perfection is to Jesus, but also in the Methodist tradition. That kind of perfection implies a movement. Now, sadly, a lot of churches, denominations, become more monumental, because we have our structure, we have our ways of doing things, and this is how it's been, and we become inflexible. It's not a coincidence, I don't think, that Christianity is a religion, but denominational Christianity, especially in America, has been declining for 50, 60 years, because we have become monumental and not movement oriented. And that's really the message of the Transfiguration, that Jesus was starting a movement. He had very little interest in monuments. Now, how does this relate to us? Well, the same principle that relates to, religion in general, and certainly our denomination in particular, also relates to us as people. We all have our own monuments, our fixed things, our sacred cows in our own lives. It's just they are inviolate. There's nothing you can do to them. They cannot be examined or looked at or anything. And we become stagnant in our faith. We think that we've gotten the answers, and so we stay with those answers. But the truth of the matter is, faith should always be something that is growing, that is moving, that is evolving. And if we're not, then we're stagnating and ultimately dying. The faith that I try to teach here at Whittier First, and the faith that I try to live, is a faith of movement. It's a faith based on that going on to perfection. There's always more to be done. And there always will be more to be done until that day when there is no more to be done, when we have all run our race and we are able to see our Maker face to face. But for right now, if we are here, if we are alive, then there is movement to be done. Now, some of us who are older, our ability to move is limited. But I'm not talking about physical movement. I'm talking about the kind of movement that anyone can do. It's movement towards the Christ consciousness. It's movement towards a deeper love. It's movement towards a deeper awareness. And if we are not moving, then we are not living. Jesus was starting a movement. He had very little interest or time for monuments. So let's get moving. Have a wonderful week, my friends. God bless.